All right, all. Let's get going on here. We are in week 30, I think. Let me share sound. All right, so we're going to start a new section over just meats. So we only got 6 weeks left. So, well, yeah, we got 6 weeks left. So we're going to go with, we're going to do meat and poultry. So we're going to do meat this week, poultry next week. We'll go over service, and we'll probably do like salads and dips and stuff for one of the last chapters we cover till summer. Okay, so just starting, let me go to the slideshow. Okay, so just starting out, I know we've covered a lot of different types of meats already, cooking methods, all that kind of fun stuff. But this is a little more in-depth. So it's almost a recap too. Okay, so with inspection and types of meat, depending on what type of animal it is how it's inspected. So the Food Safety and Inspection Service conducts meat inspections, determines wholesomeness with the meat if it's able to be consumed. They inspect the processing facilities and equipment, and they meet food safety standards to make sure the facilities do, so they're not dirty or have rodents, that kind of stuff. And if they pass inspection, it means two things: that it's got the USDA stamp, that it's wholesome, and it's safe to eat. Okay, so when it comes to grading, I found, oh, sorry, let me go back to my share. Okay, when it comes to grading, I found a good video on like how to test. So if you see in here, you got the prime, choice, and select. The grading goes by approved for wholesomeness, the meat's quality, characteristics, tenderness. It is voluntary, but if you want to get paid more for your food or your meat, you have to go through the grading process. If it's not graded professionally, then this select steak with no marbling will cost the same as this prime steak. So in order to charge prime prices, you have to have it graded professionally. So let me get started on this, and then we'll go over it.
Compared to Hey everybody, I'm Joey and I'm back bringing you another bite-sized kitchen hack. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I say make it either choice or prime, or don't waste your time when it comes to buying steaks. Now, I want you to know a little bit more about why I say that. So follow me, I have some steaks here. Hey everybody, I'm Joey and I'm back bringing you another bite-sized kitchen hack.
Oh crap. Poop.
Compared to the choice. Heck, take a look at that I say make it either choice or prime, or don't waste your time when it comes to buying steaks. Now, I want you to know a little bit more about why I say that. So follow me, I have some steaks here, let's check them out. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've purchased 3 different grades of steaks. These are all New York strip steaks. Over here, I have the select, in the middle I have the choice, and right over here I have the prime. And the first thing I want to bring your attention to on the select steak is the lack of intermuscular fat. As you can see, we have a lot of just really dense meat. Why is that not great? Well, simply put, the fat is where it's at when it comes to cooking steaks. That fat adds a lot of rich, beefy flavor. The next thing we have is the choice, and take a look at that. Actually, I'll pick it up so you guys can really see that. We have much more intermuscular fat than we do over here with the select grade steak. And again, this is really important. Not only is this going to have more flavor, but it's also going to be a more tender steak. This represents the majority of meat that you're going to find in your market. Of course, in my markets, I often do see select steaks marked down. They're usually much cheaper, but personally for me, this is not a steak I prefer. I do prefer to spend the money and get the better quality choice. Over here, we have a prime steak, and look at that. You can really see the difference compared to the choice. Heck, take a look at it compared right here next to the select. Look at that. Take a look at it, would you? There's a ton more intermuscular fat on that prime beef. Now, this prime beef is Not the best that's available, but pretty close to it. This represents about 5% of all beef that's sold in the U.S. You'll find a lot of this at your high-end restaurants and steakhouses. But the reality is when you go to those places, oftentimes the steak tastes better because they're buying a higher quality steak. It usually comes down to that. There are some secrets to getting better steaks, and we'll cover those in a lot of our other videos. But today I really wanted you to be able to see with your own eyes the difference between the select grade, the choice grade, and the prime grade beef. So in closing, we're gonna actually, in another video, we're gonna cook these, we're gonna sort of taste test the differences, and I'll bring all those to you. But simply put, as I open the video, remember, make it either choice or prime, or don't waste your time. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, like, or even better, subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. It's frankly the best decision you could make for yourself today so that you can keep on learning how to cook meat made easy. I'll see you next time. Salud.
All right. So that was just a quick video. So like he said, it's basically they call it the marbling. So if you've ever seen a piece of marble, like stone, how you see the different colors and shade patterns and stuff like that in it, but it's how much fat is inside the meat. Other things that go into it is the coloring of the meat, the age of the cow, how much did the cow actually move around. Like if you have an older cow, it's going to have, like they say, tougher meat because they use their muscles more. They might have more predominant tendons coming through them. It just depends on the actual animal and how it was raised, what it ate. Did it graze freely? Was it locked up in a stall its whole life and fed grains? Just depending on what it is. So, but when you go to buy that, so what he had for the choice meat, you might be looking at, for a New York strip for choice, I'll say it's the select, you're probably looking at $9 a pound, regular price. Choice would be like $13 a pound. The prime would probably be up in the 20s. So like $23 a pound. So that's why when you go to some of these steakhouses, you're going to pay 40, 50 bucks for a steak because they're buying very expensive meat. Okay. So there's your grading on how they grade it. Then I have one of actually where they go and then grade it too, so you can see it. So processors and packers. So this says pay a fee to the USDA, just so they ensure quality grades based on uniform federal standards. This is a meat packing plant. So I found a video on here, like from start to finish, how they do this. It's a pretty good video. So, like from, birth to slaughter, like how they're actually processed and what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. But what would happen here is the USDA person, actually the inspector, has their own parking space at these factories, and they walk through and they check everything. So when they go, we'll watch this video and I'll go through it with you, but they check everything from like how sanitized the knives are to what the people are wearing. You can't have your earbuds in and listen to your, have your cell phone out when you're at one of these places. You will lose your job. But these guys get paid really well to do this because beef is very expensive. But they check everything. They'll check these tubes over here to make sure they're sanitized and clean. When they clean this place at night, they hire a company that comes in and literally blasts the whole thing with sanitation and soap and cleans it from floor to ceiling. Like it's not just you go wash your dishes type thing. Like this is a very sanitized place. So let's watch this. Oh, there's the So those two people were doing the grading and inspecting of the meat. You saw where they put the stamps on there. It's more of a brand, or they'll just put a sticker, like attach it to it. Not a sticker, but it'll have like something to stick it on there, probably a nail or something similar. But they'll go through and check the side of beef. That's a whole side of beef. Check for the marbling, check for bruising, any sort of, they can tell if the animal has been hurt at all. I mean, there's a lot of they can tell by just looking at the bones and the meat on there and the carcass itself. So that's when they start their grading process. They're all beef tongues. And you have oxtail, hearts. Okay, where it said traceability, labeling, and packing, every single one of those cows has a label in it, like a chip reader, pretty much, of like if you have an animal and you have a chip in it. So it is marked from what farm it came from, and then the farms are broken up into separate pastures. So they do this. So farmers, say if they have 1,000 acres, and they need 500 acres per herd of cattle, they will keep them completely separated. So if there's an outbreak of some sort of virus or illness, it's not going to affect all the meat they have. It's just going to affect the small groupings of cattle that they have. But each group will be labeled, so such and such farm number, from pasture B. And the reason they do that is if somebody gets sick, like somebody gets E. coli from eating a burger at, Jake's Pub down the street, they can trace the beef back as long as Jake still has like the order inventory of where that meat came from, or the steak. They can trace where he bought the meat to the manufacturer, to the slaughterhouse, to the farmer, to the actual pasture. Like they have to do this in order to trace everything. So it's all contact tracing, which you guys probably seen now with the whole COVID thing going on. Like if someone in your class gets sick, they're going to trace where, what class they were in, who was around them. That's why all the teachers have to have seating charts, who is within 6 feet or 15 feet of them, or whatever it is, who is within 16 feet or 6 feet for 15 minutes, and they can contact trace. So they have to do that with all the animals as well. So that's why they separate them out. So if you have 10,000 cows and they're all going to be for meat, you want to separate those out into groups of 1,000, at the minimum. Just so if there's an outbreak of something, they're not going to eliminate your entire herd. You know what I mean? Because they'll have to recall a lot of that beef. guys see, one thing I forgot to point out, this is not in the United States, by the way. This is, I think it's in Finland. But just the different cuts, you know what I mean? So you have your prime steaks, premium steaks, and then you see the giant trough that they dumped all the random cuts of meat into. That will be your typical ground beef. If it's something specific, so they'll weigh out the amount of fat on there and then they'll separate it out. So that way they can say it's an 80-20, which is like 20% fat, 80% meat. Okay. So that's kind of why they do that. So pretty amazing how they do that. So all that gets broke down. They use everything off that animal, by the way. I mean, people eat every part of that, from the offal meat, which would be like your organs. They use the hides for leather, shoes. If you imagine like all the leather shoes that are coming out or that people wear, those are from animal hides. So even if you get a pair of Jordans or whatever tennis shoes you wear, there's still parts of leather on all those, because it's very durable and it's water resistant. So, but yeah, you saw how everything's packaged up, processed. It's a very clean, you know, hygienic place. You saw how everyone in there had to wear head to toe coverings, except for your eyes. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. Okay, so USDA assigns 2 grades to your meat. Okay. There's the quality grade and the yield grade. All right. Meat receives one or both grades. It kind of depends on, like I said, what you're going to sell it for. All right. So quality and yield are the 2 things they assign. And you'll want these inspections done, because the more you want to pay, or the more you want to charge, or if you want a nicer steak, you know, a store can't sell you something labeled that they call prime, but never been inspected, because it's just not legal. Not in the US anyway. Okay, so quality grade measures flavor characteristics, tenderness, juiciness, flavor. Beef, lamb, and veal, prime, choice, selects. These are the types you have. You have prime, choice, select, standard, commercial, utility, cutter, cull, and canner. Pork doesn't really have a quality grade. I think they can. I think there is one now available where they can pay someone to come in and grade the type of pork, so they can charge more money for it, which I think is very ideal. Because if you have somebody raising animals like you saw in that video, where some of those cows were pastured and some of them were just in a pen and they were fed grain, those ones, you know, you're going to get 2 different types of meat there. So this is just a quick video, and then we'll be wrapping up for today, because we're going to continue on tomorrow with the rest of like cooking skills with different types of meat, and then what these mean, like prime down to canner.
Hi, I'm Craig Morris. Welcome to my backyard barbecue. Today I'm here for more insights into the USDA grades to help you make your grilling season a success. And now we're talking beef. When you want to know the quality of your beef, just look for the USDA grade shields found right on packages of both fresh and frozen products. These shields tell you that the product meets USDA's high standards for quality and help take the guesswork out of selecting the best products for you and your family. Whether you're grilling or making your favorite dish for a neighborhood picnic, quality and consistency matters. Beef quality is graded for tenderness, juiciness, and flavor. The labels that include prime, choice, and select. My agency, USDA's Agricultural Marketing Service, or AMS, defines the quality grades for a wide variety of commodities, including eggs, beef, and poultry products. These products are evaluated by highly skilled USDA graders who work alongside safety inspectors in processing facilities across the country. USDA graders are trained experts who examine products as they are being made and compare them to the official U.S. quality standards. Then they assign the correct USDA grade shield that reflects the quality and consistency of the product. Let's take a closer look at what USDA's beef grades really mean. Prime beef is produced from young, well-fed beef cattle. These cuts have a good deal of marbling and often are featured in restaurants. And, so you know, marbling is the amount of fat streaking within the cut of meat. The more marbling, the more flavor, tenderness, and just plain juiciness. Prime roasts and steaks are excellent for broiling, roasting, or grilling. Choice beef has less marbling than prime. Choice roasts and steaks from the loin and rib are very tender, juicy, and flavorful. Many of the less tender cuts, such as chuck roast, will be most tender if braised, roasted, or simmered with a small amount of liquid in a covered pan. Select beef is very uniform in quality and is usually leaner than the higher grades. It is fairly tender, but because it has less marbling, it may lack some of the juiciness and flavor of the higher grades. Here's a little grilling tip from me. Tender cuts should be cooked with dry heat. Other cuts should be marinated before cooking or braised. I'm often asked about other USDA marks you see on packages of beef at the supermarket. All beef must be inspected for safety and wholesomeness by USDA. And you will see those marks on packaging as well. While all beef must be safety inspected, not all beef carries USDA grade shields for quality. So whether you are picking out steaks for a summer cookout or a roast to simmer on the winter stove, remember that the USDA grade shield is an easy way to ensure that you are getting the quality and consistency backed by USDA experts. For more information and insight into beef grades, be sure to check out our infographics and other resources at www.ams.usda.gov. And look for more videos about other USDA topics, labels, and shields.
All right, so that was kind of dull, sorry. But yeah, so if you want something that is inspected, it has to have the stamp, the label on it. And as far as like what you're cutting, we'll get into that tomorrow of like, not what you're cutting, but what you're cooking. So, you know, this week for our demo or for our food, you know, prep, we're going to do a beef tenderloin, which is like one of the highest cuts of meat quality that you could get. I believe their choice. But we're just going to do a seared beef, pan sauce, mashed potatoes, and green beans. So you guys will see how this all plays out, but it'll work out really nice. So, but anywho, tomorrow we're going to keep going on with the different types. So, you know, we'll get into prime, choice, what they look like, and then we'll get into cooking techniques and stuff and what the the lower cuts of meat are actually used for. Okay, so that is beef. We're just starting off with lots of meat. We did beef. And then we'll continue on with pork and lamb and all that kind of fun stuff. And then next week we'll cover chicken. All right. You guys have a wonderful day.